Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Motorsports Monday CANrace Year in Review Special, coming to you on CJRU 1280 AM in Toronto, and highlights as well on CANrace. So we're in both audio and video form today for the first time ever for both CANrace and as well for Motorsports Monday. And joining me for this Year in Review Special, I have my two co-hosts from CANrace, Caitlin Patrick and Stephen Ellis. Hello. So introduce yourselves first.
Okay, I'm Stephen Ellis. I love a lot of obscure racing. I'm going to try to mention the 25 Hours of Thunderhill a few times here. And I cover hockey too, so that's what I do.
I am Caitlin Patrick. I am not a Ryerson Ram, so I'm kind of out of my element here. I got lost on my way here today. I am a NASCAR and Indy fan, and I don't drink coffee.
Same.
I don't drink coffee either.
All right.
There you go. We learned something new about ourselves still.
Well, that's true. When we were in Trois Rivières, I would get apple juice, you get orange juice. Did you get any drinks?
I got chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk?
Or
yes.
tea.
And then we
chocolate milk and tea.
Then we went to the track and then got some more free drinks.
The
free beer night.
Free alcohol.
The free beer.
Liquor laws in Quebec certainly different than in other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only media center, except for Jucasa, the LeBay's team, I guess, brought up Coors Light. But
yeah, like at the end, at like midnight, when they're like, "Oh, there's a bunch of beer left, just toss it in the fridge."
There's like three of you guys still here. What are you guys doing here? It's midnight.
They were waiting for Alex, or not Alex. What's her name?
Alex, yeah.
Alex.
There are
a lot of Alex.
Everyone's named
So
Alex,
Alex
here.
Where's Alex Gallagher?
Yeah, the NASCAR Home Tracks reporter. So speaking of, we're talking about NASCAR Canada, the NASCAR Pinty series, and that's our first topic to review for the year. So the season was dominated by two drivers, hands down, Alex Labay and Kevin Lacroix, who combined to win 9 of 13 races. Lacroix winning 4 of 5 road course events. That was his specialty. Labay with 5 oval victories. A back-and-forth championship battle for the first part of the year, but then as well confrontation at Riverside. That created some drama, and Labay in the end won the championship by 16 points. What did you think of Lacroix versus Labay this season?
I think it definitely gave fans a really good show, especially for like such a small series. Racing, I find in Pinty's is better than Cup. So to see a battle like that for the championship, whereas, I mean, in Cup, most people, Martin Truex Jr. was the fan favorite the entire season.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that their championship battle came down to Riverside, especially post-race, when Lacroix kind of got mad at Labay. So I definitely think that penalty that Lacroix suffered definitely set him back, and I don't think he was ever really able to recover from it. So
yeah, I think that was probably one of the best rivalries that we've seen in the last couple of years. If you look at the Cup Series, there aren't many rivalries. It's been kind of the same few.
There was a few this year.
Yeah, a bit, yeah. But we don't see the drama like we used to in the past. It's unfortunate. But the Pinty Series, these guys, a wrecked car means a lot more because the budgets aren't there. So when you see these two guys being aggressive, and they are the two of the higher budget drivers, it's actually really entertaining to watch. And yeah, we saw the nonsense at Riverside. I say nonsense, but that was pretty entertaining. And then again, they dominated the road courses for Lacroix, and Labay did the ovals. And the one thing that when you talk to American fans, is they actually really liked kind of following on YouTube and online the battle between these two guys, because if you look at the schedule, it's almost a perfect schedule in terms of short tracks and road courses. That's something that people want the Truck Series to do, and because of that, you see some really intense battles because it's not these long drawn out races where there's guys just separated. It's like there are very few times where there's actually big leads. The only time that really we saw that this year was at CTMP for the second time, and that race will kind of chalk up to interesting strategies resulting in a kind of a boring race. But overall, I thought that was a fantastic battle, and we saw a lot of battles through the field, but that was those two guys going at it each week was a lot of fun. Lacroix dominates at CTMP, and we thought, okay, this could get a lot closer, but Labay just kind of minimized the damage because of, despite starting last, he finished, I believe, in the top 5. So that was a pretty good run, and that kind of showed, Labay's been consistent enough to deserve a championship.
Yeah, he finished around, I think, maybe 6, but Labay, still, he finished, I guess, in the top 10 in every race right until the end. He suffered an issue on the last race, but by then he had already secured the championship.
Yeah,
but 16
all he had to do
points.
was, start the race, didn't he?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And for 16 points, too, I don't remember how much the penalty was for Lacroix. Of course, Lacroix was going to win, and then LeBay sort of got by him on the last turn. Lacroix wasn't happy. He got into him and wrecked him on the cool-down lap. But in any event, the penalty certainly could have made a big difference. Only 16 points. 10 points. So he still would have lost the championship, but it would have been a lot closer. It would have gone down to that finale because Lacroix didn't win either. Caden Lapsevich won the race at Jukasa. We had Donald Teach finish second. So if Lacroix could have won that race and didn't get the penalty at Riverside, then we could be looking at a different champion.
Well, one of my favorite things of the season were the fans that made the. Actually, no, believe it or not, it was Kevin Lacroix who made. I thought it was fans made GoFundMe for saying, "Oh, you know, I didn't."
That was actually Lacroix.
Yeah, I'm reading it here. It says Kevin Lacroix. I had to be. It says NASCAR is suing Kevin for $1,000 for a penalty report released today, saying Kevin intentionally wrecked the 32 car in Nova Scotia this weekend. And there's some interesting spelling and grammar mistakes there. But yeah, again, we'll jog it up to be French. But I think it was hilarious. But apparently, during the race, Kevin wasn't there because he was in Mexico for vacation. So I thought that was pretty funny.
It's a conspiracy theory.
It was entertaining, and you know, I think that was almost a way to kind of get the fans back on his side because fans were not happy about that situation.
No, they were mad. I remember going on Twitter afterwards because I didn't watch the race. I was at work, and I got back, watched like the last couple I don't know, the last couple tweets go out, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes later, Twitter and Instagram were blowing up with this confrontation between Lacroix and LeBay.
Yeah, when Joel from TSN posted the original clip, that stirred up everything, and there was a lot of conversation. You're like, wow, this just happened, and it was kind of fun to see the how the fans reacted, especially the NASCAR Pinty's Facebook group. Man, that group sometimes is just it's fun to watch, see what people think. And there was nobody really on Lacroix's side. Lacroix went after a couple of the fans actually on social media after that, which wasn't the greatest idea. But overall, I think you got almost to chalk it up to just a lot of just intensity and hard battles. And he's frustrated, and there's good reason to be. It felt like the championship was kind of slipping away, but at the same time, had he won that race, he still wouldn't have won the championship.
I mean, I feel like if he was only 5 or 6 points behind LeBay, he would have fought a lot harder at Jukasa because he would have known it was in his grasp. But because he was so far behind, I think he kind of just went, not meant to be.
Well, hey, the guy who ended up winning that race, I believe, was a lap down in Jukasa, so at one point. So that kind of shows you anything can happen in that race.
Yeah, there's lots of tight battles and lots of certainly rivalries and controversies, such as even that last race where Caden Lapsevich won after a bit of a bump and run on Donald Teach, and there were certainly fans who weren't happy, but fans who were also on his side and say, hey, that's racing. So I'm going to actually transition now. Let's talk about Caden Lapsevich, the defending champion coming into this year. 3 wins on the year and finished third in points. And what did you think of his season? And certainly he had a bit of a rivalry there.
Well, when you look at the fact that it was only 4 winners this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 winners.
Yeah.
And Lapsevich won 3, but in reality wasn't a massive threat for the championship. And he was saying later in the race, I believe, or later in the season, I think he wasn't planning to go to Riverside unless they were really in the championship hunt. At that point, they were, because it was just the funding's tough, and for a guy who just won the championship, that's not a good sign. And it is a family-run operation, and they've got some of the most respect. It's just, again, money's tough, even when you win a championship. And for him, I thought he did a fantastic job for a team that literally was looking for funding each race. And he's very fast. When he's not involved in an accident, he's very consistent. You could always count on him to battle for top 5. And I think as the season progressed, he did get better at road courses. He was good at the first race at CTMP. I believe he lost a couple positions near the end, but overall, I think that he showed that he's got a lot of talent, and if he had a bit more funding, man, I would love to see what that kid could do, because he could drive a race car. A lot of people say that his brother Trayton has maybe as much or more skill than him, and to see what the Lapsevich family could do in the future is going to be interesting. But he definitely had his struggles at points, but let's just say this, that move on Donald Teach at the very end of the year was probably one of my favorite moments of the season, because it felt like we're back to short track racing. We're back to the old days. There used to be a lot of bumper runs in the series, and it returned this year. That's one thing a lot of people talked about.
People get so, I want to say mad, but like they just get so sensitive. They get so sensitive when they see bump and runs, and like I get it, like if Donald Teach is your driver or like your driver is like the victim of a bump and run, but when you're going for the last race win of the season at Jukasa, the crown jewel of Canada,
Yep.
like it's. You can't blame Caden for going for that.
With that many fans there, it's under the lights. There's a lot of exciting moments. He's got a huge he's local to the area. He knows the area well, so it was kind of cool to see so many friends and family come there to watch him. And he had a season where he probably wanted a bit more, and go out there and win that final race. I would have done the exact same thing. Anyone who says they wouldn't either doesn't want to win or they're a hypocrite. That's what I'll say.
I'm sorry, but if you're an athlete and you're just going out there to why are you going out there to play your sport if you're not going to win championships and win races?
Yeah, see, the one reason why I when you look at Kyle Busch and people will say they don't like him because he's aggressive. Keselowski, the same thing. Keselowski seems to be one of the nicest guys in the garage, with everything I keep saying. But those two guys are aggressive. They're willing to bump. And I love that because that's kind of what we used to see in NASCAR. Like, people seem to love Dale Earnhardt. What was his biggest thing? He used to bumper a lot. And when you look at guys... Yeah, like you see Lapsovich do that, or you see Kyle Busch or Keselowski do. It's like, you know what? They're giving it all to win. And Lapsovich could have wrecked his car, and that could have pretty much meant it's going to be tough to race if he plans to do 2018.
Yeah.
And he still, risked everything and ended up pulling off the win. And again, one of the best moments of the year. And sure, there was definitely a reason for a couple of the people to be mad. We saw TJ's family and their TJ's team go, and then we saw
everyone was mad after
Kennington,
that race.
so.
Everyone was mad after that.
So
race.
I want to move on and talk about that championship race, actually, following management issues at Kawartha, where all the finales were run previous to this year. The season finale moved to the newly renovated Jukasa Motor Speedway, formerly Cayuga, very prestigious track that was shut down in 2009. New ownership brought back to life. We were there. What did you think of that return to Jukasa?
It's so pretty. The night races in racing are always something that are super cool, and to see that not in the Pinty series, it was definitely it's one of the races that next season that they're gonna have 2 races at. People need to go to Jukasa next year, especially the finale. I don't know if the first race going to be under lights.
I imagine. I think typically all the ovals are night races in this series.
Not the
won't have
races.
times yet.
Well, actually, Riverside was supposed to be, but it came.
It was unless they're postponed. But yeah, that was really they did a really good job, and they didn't even plan on running that finale this year. It was supposed to be at Kawartha, so then at the last minute to take over, when you're not even done renovating the track, they repaved the whole track, they renovated the facilities, and the team led by former series director Alex Nagy, they did a really great job at bringing the track back to life. And I remember at the end there was this whole big fireworks show, and you're like, this is like Homestead Miami.
It felt like Homestead Miami with the championship race.
And the best part was the fireworks were activated during the fight between Lazovich's and Teach's team. So it's like there's fireworks literally on the track, and there's fireworks in the sky. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the lights were going all over the place, fireworks were going, people were fighting, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is going on?
Again, it's what I expect Homestead to be like in person, and it was something I did not expect. I thought it's a short track. They didn't have much time to prepare for this. It's gonna be just kind of like, okay, let's move on. No, that was one of the coolest things. I want to stick on the track the whole night. It was so cool. I
didn't want to leave. It's like the atmosphere after the race was even during the race. The atmosphere
crowds.
The fans were amazing.
Yeah, we sat in the crowd for the late model race earlier. And when we see what's his face, Jared Fitzpatrick bumps a guy, it's like, okay, we expected that out of Fitzpatrick. He's a great driver, but he is aggressive, and that's what I like out of him. And then the guy who spun out gets mad, goes backwards and tries to drag him.
No, turns around and drives towards him the wrong way on the track.
Whew, that was awesome. That was funny. And things like that, that felt like a real short track race, because prior to that race, the only short track races I've been to were Delaware and Cayuga before it came to Jukasa back in 2002. So I hadn't seen many of those races like that.
I've never been to a short track race, so I was blown away at how cool it was.
I thought it was amazing. You can see the whole track, which is awesome compared to all the road courses, and we were literally running end to end to take photos, and that's something we can't do.
We saw Larry Jackson go for on the outside of the front row, and we freaked out. We're running to the other side of the track, and everyone else is looking at us like we're crazy. We're like, but Larry Jackson's going for the lead.
Like, see other photographers, they're there just to take the photos of what's going on, but we're like, guys, this is kind of big for this. Like, Larry Jackson's battling for the win. This is
couple
awesome.
of drivers usually mid-pack. So.
Yeah, like we saw, I want to say, did we see Brandon White up at the front? I can't remember, but
I think he
was
maybe. I
There
think
were
he
a few
maybe
guys
like
who didn't pit. So
he
that,
flirted with like top 5.
Yeah, and like there's some guys who had some really good runs, and it's other drivers struggled in that race. Ranger, which we're kind of a little surprised about, but overall, again, that was one of the coolest events I've ever been to.
So moving on now, we'll do one more topic on the series.
To one last thing, this is not forget that the 2016 CTMP truck race was incredible. I think that race was even better.
They're good.
You thought Jukasa was better than the 2016 truck race at CTMP?
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
short track racing at its best. So some of the short track drivers certainly that are in the series are for a couple of teams, 22 Racing, DJK Racing, a couple of the top teams, but they've had a bit of a struggle this season where a year filled of so close but yet so far really. For 22 Racing, they came so close to winning with Donald Teague and Marc-Antoine Camiron. We've seen podium finishes. We've seen them lead several laps. And Alex Tagliani as well, the big racing veteran who's known, his household name almost. And he visited Victory Lane only once this season. DJ Kennington for DJK Racing, his long multi-season winless streak continued, and for the first time in his career, Andrew Ranger did not visit Victory Lane at all in a single season. So what did you think of 22 Racing and DJK Racing this season?
Well, DJ Kennington had a really interesting season, not just in Pinty's, because, he did 2 cup races. Yeah, 2, right? 3. Yeah, he did 3.
Wait.
Daytona,
No, he did. He missed.
Daytona, Talladega.
He raced Phoenix. Yeah. Phoenix, too, at the second to last race.
He did.
But he missed one of the super speedways.
He missed Talladega.
So it should be
first Talladega.
Yeah.
So four races.
Yeah, 4 races.
But, and then he did 1 truck race or 2?
A couple, I think. Did he run?
Did he
Talladega? Was it just Hathaway who ran Phoenix?
Yeah.
So Talladega and...
I must have done Phoenix, too. CTMP.
Yeah, CTMP.
Yeah.
CTMP.
So Hathaway did Phoenix and CTMP.
I think he was definitely focusing on, getting his name out into, other series.
Yeah, like he's getting older. This is his chance to kind of do this stuff while he's definitely doing well with the team.
He wasn't that dominant in Pinty's, though.
No, the thing is, I think overall, it's almost like he's not getting the better cars in general. I think they're giving the better cars to Ranger, but this year it's hard to tell. But, for that team, you probably wanted to see even more. They're a powerhouse team. They're one of the bigger budget teams. And for Ranger, that must have been one of the most frustrating years of his career. Missing the 1 race out west didn't help due to being sick. But I think he's too good to basically have had what happened to him this year, and I think next year we're going to see him win a couple races. He'll be hungry, and just his oval program did not work. Just no speed there. He's never been great at ovals, but he's got some wins there. So you thought he may be even more competitive, but road course wise, he wasn't as good as he wanted. And to see CTMP the first time just slip away literally on the last lap, I think halfway through the lap, that must have kind of bothered him all season long because that was close.
He had a couple poles though, didn't he?
Yeah, he had some good runs. It was just he
came up just shy at iCar. It was a photo finish.
Yeah, see, think about iCar, man. He comes first and second every time. Well, same thing with Troy Vier.
Yeah,
came second there. So good runs on the road courses. He
didn't have the car.
No one could beat Lacroix this year.
Literally.
No,
Except the only time Lacroix was beaten on a road course was because he and LeBay tangled, of all things.
What?
At Troy Vier. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Lacroix got wrecked out of the race, and that's another difference that could have been in the title battle.
Yeah. That wasn't intentional by any means. It was just kind of that track's tough to race on.
Yeah, it is.
Ranger and talking about the two teams there, Ranger and Tagliani had a bit of a rivalry. Toronto, they got into each other battling for the lead, and they were, even the crew chiefs, you could see a few races where they confronted each other.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Toronto.
You were our resident pit crew guy. You would run.
Yeah, I kind of got tired of Victory Lane, so I'm like, I want to go see all the people arguing, which I saw DJ Kennington yell at multiple people this season, 3 or 4 times. But you go to Toronto, I'm running there, and you see one of the Rangers crew members just standing in the middle of the big paddock area, which if you guys haven't been there, it's just a big, gigantic open area. And all of a sudden you see the 18 car pull in, but Tags is one of the only guys who doesn't drive his car into the garage area, and so this crew member thinks he's yelling at Tags just to find out it was some random guy driving the car, and took it to the back, and then DJ was waiting at Tags' hauler just to say something, and nothing happened. So that was a bit of fun.